you mentioned it in passing earlier, and this was I think in almost 2 decades of being in this business, this was a first for me. So we're out in Lake Tahoe, beautiful property, the Ritz, and we had our DBDL, our founders retreat out there. You brought your team out early to do an offsite kind of pour into them sort of meeting. We'll get to that later because I think
Yeah.
there's another lesson there. But we're out there and you have gone very deep into a niche, the pharmaceutical niche in your financial services business.
Yeah.
And I think it was day 2 or day 3, you realized, or one of your team members realized, there's actually was a pharmaceutical conference going on at the same hotel at the same time.
Yep.
And being the small world and well-connected in it that you are, you're like, you put some connections together. You're like, okay. And I believe you literally, I think it was during our conference, you're like, oh, I'm going to do a couple appointments or a couple at least high-level business meetings with some high-end pharmaceutical reps. And it was very much because of that niche that you'd specialized in. And I know there's a lot of equity packages and things like that that you've become really familiar with, which obviously that's important if you're going to go in that niche. So really big setup there. But if you were, speaking to other financial advisors out there on being a generalist versus being a specialist in that niche, what advice would you give them? Not necessarily pharmaceuticals, but like any niche in a financial services firm.
Listen, and Brad, you see this in every industry, in every business. And we're not going to get political here, but even the big misses that companies make, the Bud Lights of the world, the Targets of the world, even the big misses are really them trying to go deeper into individual niches. So the big mega companies see that the riches are in the niches. And so sometimes they really step in it because they define a niche and try to go after it, and they end up alienating so much of their standard clientele that it shoots them in the foot. But the bottom line is the riches really are in the niches. So when you can become a specialist of working, now look, if you call me and you got $5 million to invest and you're an avatar client for us, we're going to, like, whether you're in the pharmaceutical industry or not, we're going to have a conversation and we'll serve you really well. But for our clients in the pharmaceutical industry, where we've been able to add enormous value is in those one-off conversations. Just in the last week, I have had conversations with 3 different clients in the pharmaceutical industry, actually 4, who one was laid off, and he and I are having conversations about what he wants the next stage of life to look like. And I'm able to connect him with a couple of clients who are running teams that may be looking for somebody with his expertise. Another fella, his daughter was in a tragic accident last year. He actually quit his job to go help her rehab for 8 months. And now he's trying to get back into work and he's having some trouble. I was able to connect him with a couple of consulting firms in the pharmaceutical industry who need people like him. Another one called me. He's just been fired unreasonably, irrationally. It was a death penalty for what should have been a speeding ticket situation, but talking through strategy with him, talking through what the legal approach is going to be now that he's in touch with an attorney, those kinds of things. And then another client who they hired a new head of XYZ at her company. And over the past year, some things have changed and she's gone from golden child to pariah. And so now there's an adversarial situation. And so she and I are now talking about how to position her in a way that she's protected and manage her exit from the company. So go to the company and say, look, some things have turned against me. I'm not sure why. I think this is what's going on. There probably needs to be an investigation. But at the end of the day, I think me even raising this probably makes me the enemy. And so it is acceptable to me for you guys to offer me a package and I will leave. But helping frame that language. And then we have 2 other clients who are working for a major pharma company who we've been trying to manage their exit, trying to get them a package for 2 years. And last month, actually, while we were in Tahoe, we got confirmation for both of them that the beginning of October is the end of their career. And it's like, score, both of them have got the package, and we're talking high six-figure packages to leave to retire, and it's time for both of them. So all of those are literally within the last couple of weeks. And those things only happen. And that's not an atypical week for us to have a half a dozen different conversations with people across the industry, but it's because for the last quarter century, I've been working with people in the pharmaceutical industry. And it doesn't, you don't have to wake up one day and say, hey, we're only going to work with people in this niche. And because you will starve trying to do that, right? You'll starve trying to change your whole, but it's just like anything. If you can change how you're thinking, how you're focusing your marketing, how you're thinking your positioning, asking existing clients for referrals in that direction or in the direction of your niche, you just start bending gravity in the direction of where you want things to go. And over time, 10 years later, you're an overnight success.